Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Circle of the Main podcast, top 5 of the week, week 16. Once again, I'm your host with Devious One, Ivan C, alongside with the reputation killer of all killers, Josh Bret Horton. He's going to kill your reputation. And also we have the beater of all beaters, the Cordona cousins, the Steamboat cousins, I don't know who's his daddy or his mama or his granddaddy, MGC, Matthew Steamboat. And also we have the Dragon, I guess so. Then we also have the greatest American hero of all time with the 6-inch pythons. That's Mike Lopez right there, ladies and gentlemen. He's your hero, and he's my hero as well. Everybody else's hero. And also we have, once again, we do have the 4-time, or 3-time. 4-time, 3, 5, I don't know how many 5 times. You know, HWA, Heartland Wrestling Association TV champ, JT Stahr joining us here for the top 5 best SummerSlam matches. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap it up to start off with Mr. Killer. Give me your 5 best SummerSlam matches.
All right. Sounds pretty good. Let me get my notes right here.
All right.
All right, top 5. All right, I'm going to start out with number 5. Goes to SummerSlam 1988. The Ultimate Warrior wins the Intercontinental Championship from the Honky Tonk Man. Ends the over 400-day reign of the Honky Tonk Man. And this match right here, you remember when Ultimate Warrior came out, he was called out by Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man, he didn't care who it was going to be. He said, anybody wants a shot at the title, come on out. The Warriors music hit, that crowd, the sound, bam. That was crowd noise right there. That was a pop right there. And then when he came out, quick win, right? Quick. But yeah. I think that right there is what started to elevate not Honky Tonk Man, but Ultimate Warrior right there.
Love it.
So that definitely got to be in my top 5 right there. And then, so that's number 5. And number 4, I want to go with John Cena versus AJ Styles.
All right.
From 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where AJ hit the phenomenal forearm on Cena for a 2 count. And then Cena performed a super attitude adjustment on Styles for the near fall. Then Cena tries another one. But basically, it's a lot of back and forth during this matchup. And I just remember watching it, and I was glad that these two finally in the ring together after all this time seeing AJ in TNA and in New Japan and, you know, and get to see Cena and AJ in the ring together. And they go out there and they fucking kill it. The chemistry they had, man, it's unparalleled, man. It was great. It gave what I expected. It delivered and much, much more, man. That was a match right there. That was a damn good match. That's one I can rewatch over and over and over.
I'm with you on that.
So that one goes number 4. Number 3, I want to go with the first TLC match. I can't remember. Was this the first one called the Tables, Ladders, Cheers match, or was it the first one called a triangle match or something?
No, I think the first one was a triangle. That was WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah, and then this one came later on, didn't it?
Yeah.
TLC 1, yeah.
Yeah, TLC 1, so yeah. Well, this one with Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys and the Hardys. And, I mean, the spots in this match was fucking insane. I remember Christian getting hit with a 3D, I believe, through the table. And then you see the cheers. And I believe Bubba Ray Dudley going crashing down through, like, 4 tables and stuff. I mean, that's just, like, fucking – I watching it earlier today, and I'm like, damn, man, I wish wrestling was still like this because this is fucking awesome. And then, of course, Edge and Christian, they captured the titles at the end of the match. But that right there, 3 of the greatest tag teams in history. Can't wait to see the Hardy Boys in the Hall of Fame. And we waiting on Christian, so come on, WWE. Put him in the Hall of Fame already, man. What the fuck? I don't know what the hold-up is on that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm with you.
He deserves it. He deserves it, does he not?
He does deserve it. Why not? He's done a lot for the business. Tell me if I'm wrong.
And my number two has to be oh man, this is hard to narrow it down right here, but I'm gonna go with Bret Hart defending the Intercontinental Championship against Davey Boy Smith.
Oh, the one in England.
Bulldog. Yep. Over 80,000 people was there. Intercontinental title on the line. I believe Davey Boy was dating or either married to Bret's sister or whatever. She was watching on during the match. So it made the match even more like better because she was emotionally involved and like Davey Boy and Bret in this match. And then of course Davey Boy wins the title. I mean, that's one of the greatest fucking back and forth matches between two of the greatest technical wrestlers in history to me. Like Bret the Hitman Hart and the British Bulldog right there. It's another one.
I remember that match.
Beautiful fucking matchup.
That actually was pretty dope.
That matchup right there, it's one of those matchups that stands the test of time. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
Okay, and
number one.
Number one.
Drum roll.
I want to go with Brock Lesnar versus The Rock. Because to me, man, that was a moment where the torch kind of got passed right there. The next big thing, won his first WWE championship, his first world title, and I believe they even said in that match that this is the future right here, something like that. To that extent, they said, and it was true. It was true. Brock Lesnar, for years on to come after that, he was the man. He still is the man. Hopefully, we see him back soon.
Nah, he ain't gonna come back soon until the fans are back. I don't see him coming this year.
You'll hear different. You'll hear different from me on the Dream Matches episode.
I cannot wait to hear that one next week.
Yeah, but man, that Rock and Brock matchup, what I always wanted to see, man, because that was Brock's first time winning the WWE World Title. I believe at the time he was the youngest world champion, right?
He was the youngest. He was the first one, and he was the youngest.
And I want to see things come full circle, and I want to see them two meet up again at WrestleMania when there's a crowd back, and let's have Brock and Rock too. That's what I want to see.
That would be interesting, right? And the Rock was, the Rock's different to size, like shit. He's built up. Lesnar,
the Rock's
not so
way
much.
more beast out now than he was back then too.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'll tell you what, that is a ridiculous. Like before he even went, like when he just started WWE, the stories of the shit he did was legendary. Like just in the back, like fucking like shit he would lift and stuff like that, like in developmental. Was because, like, we had to do the ring crew. We had to put the entire ring up and take it down and stuff. And the WWE ring has, like, these giant metal, the four corners. And it would be, like, 2 to 3 guys carrying those. A guy on each end and a guy in the middle, as big as the fucking wrestlers are. And they would always be like, Brock would just put the shit on his shoulder and fucking walk with it.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Just fucking put it on his shoulder and just fucking walk with it.
The motherfucker's a beast.
He is, man. That motherfucker's a beast, bro.
But The Rock is now, too, man. It makes you wonder, like, who you think would win in a fucking arm wrestling contest between those
I still say Brock Lesnar will win, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I mean, not this is hating on The Rock, but come on, Lesnar.
Rock's bigger now, though. Like, body. Bigger than he was back then.
You're with that.
It has nothing to do with his size, though. I mean, it's on the mind how it's on the mind. I still feel like Lesnar will beat him.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Lesnar's like you talking future. I don't see him. Not unless Rock takes a fucking arm wrestling class and there's some like secret technique that we don't know about.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, and then honorable mention, man. I'd have to say, I think it was John Cena versus Daniel Bryan at a SummerSlam. I don't know why it sticks out in my mind that match.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, you was at that one?
I was at that one. That was 2013. I was there. I actually was celebrating and low-key cried because I'm a big fan of Daniel Bryan. I follow his career since, Ring of Honor and, PWG. So I've seen him in PWG. So, yeah, I was there. All right, so let's see. All right, Matt, what do you got for us, Mr. Steamboat?
All right, so I don't think I have a particular order in mind in a way because I couldn't really decide on I know what I wanted as first and second, but think of 3 through 5 as just kind of here and there. So number 5 is Ric Flair versus Jericho at SummerSlam. I don't know. I'm not sure which year though, but I know that happened.
2002.
2002. Ric Flair versus was it an I Quit match or was something? I'm not sure.
It was a regular match, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's something going on with that. And then going for number 4, we're gonna make a big jump in time. Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was those were interesting promos going back and forth between the two. Somebody joked that you needed a translator or something like that.
It was insane going head to head. You didn't know what the hell they were talking about. It made no sense. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's why it was so crazy. It was like you had no idea what the. But Jeff, what'd you say at the beginning though? You're saying
it was 2 insane promo guys. Both of those guys were talking insane. That's what made it awesome. It was just that homeless guy you see talking to himself on the corner. It was if you had 2 of them and then you just had them face to face and he's like, "Ooh, I don't eat tacos on Tuesday, dig it." Understand lasagna.
And he's like,
but at the same time, it made sense to them. They were working.
Ultimate Warrior. Those 2 right there, they both could go fucking. Their promos, man. Oh my fuck.
You know where that's going.
But the unfortunate part about that match, the ending was horrible. Really, a fucking count out. That was the only thing that pissed me off. That it was a fucking count.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I agree on that.
I put that completely on Warriors end. I completely do. Partially, from everybody I've ever heard, this is before the documentary, anything. I remember we talked to Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he was talking about how bad Ultimate Warrior was in the fucking ring. Everything I've heard from dudes, not even just watching it, that had to be him. Because Macho Man, he was that dude. He really was fucking really good.
Yes.
And he annoyed some dudes. He used to annoy the shit out of Steamboat because Steamboat, him and Flair had those matches. They didn't call shit. They just do it all in the ring every fucking time. Savage had a notebook. Mm-hmm. Savage, Steamboat was talking about this. I remember him being no, dude, Savage would have a notebook. The entire fucking match worked out. And then we would go out on house shows and do it. And then he would come back every time with changes. Okay, what if on this part we do this different, switch the order on this? He was so fucking calculated that Steamboat used to run and hide from him. And he was the worst thing in the world is that people to this day talk about how great the match at WrestleMania 3 was. Because it means that he was fucking right.
Savage had OCD though, didn't he? He wanted to make sure everything was perfect.
Yeah, he did have OCD.
Well, that finish was not a good. It was probably because of something fucking Warrior did.
I think so too. I'm with you. I think it changed last minute. I think Warrior was the one that I heard. It's room in your window, but I heard it from something to wrestle with, and so that Warrior didn't want to get pinned. He didn't want to sell it. Savage was supposed to retain the title. Remember, he was the champion at the time. So Savage was supposed to retain against the Warrior clean. But Warrior did not want to lose. So they had to switch the whole fucking script and just have him, Savage lost by a count out. But he was still the champ. but he hurt his knee and all this bullshit. That was like, I don't know. I love the match itself was great, but the ending was stupid.
Mm. Yeah, you didn't get everything. It's like when you order a certain dish. It's like I didn't really like raisins in that sandwich, but it still was a pretty good sandwich overall, or something like that. But moving on to number 3, AJ Styles versus John Cena.
Yeah.
There you go.
I gotta say, it's like
Great minds think alike.
I gotta say with that match, it was kind of like John Cena's like WWE's like home guy. He's I don't know, from what I observe is like Vince's guy, and AJ Styles is like the hero. I mean, the kind of like the outside hero, kind of coming from all the other organizations.
Just don't say Lex Luthor, Superman. Please do not say it.
Don't
say Lex Luthor and Superman. Do not say it.
No,
because you're gonna piss off Mike right now.
Oh my god. No, but AJ Styles is like the outside guy of all the other like organizations, and he was like the top guy in all the like New Japan and TNA, Impact, and you know, Ring of Honor. He's coming from all those other places, and now he's finally in WWE going
The anti. That's why it was cool.
Yeah, he's going after Big Match John, you know.
Well, you think about it, like John Cena is, even though he did wrestle in the Indies, he was basically huge in WWE. He's a giant, like he's a big muscle bound. He's exactly what Vince likes. He's the poster boy. He's basically WWE's Sting. He's the poster boy for the fucking company. And he's that dude. And AJ Styles is a smaller guy. He's like the opposite of everything Vince McMahon likes. He came from the fucking Indies. He made a name for himself outside of WWE. WWE loves guys that they made. That was a perfect, like, oh.
Yeah, and the color and the differences in color and kind of like how it and I didn't really pay attention to all the in between AJ Styles in early TNA to WWE. So for me, seeing him look like that with the pants and the beard and the longer hair, it was like I was looking at somebody completely different, but I knew who he was at the same time. So it's like this guy who came on this long journey and changed, like his image is finally coming to WWE with something like different. So I'm gonna move up to number 2.
Número 2.
Number 2 is going to be the 2 out of 3 falls match between Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit over at the SummerSlam 2000. And I know every time those two go in, I like 2 out of 3 falls matches. I think that's was the old school rules is what it was. And whenever Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho work together, it's always like magic with those two. Those two have great in-ring chemistry, and I just love watching them. I'll move up to number 1 if you guys are ready.
Ready, numero uno.
Let's go with it.
Bro.
Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in a steel cage.
Wow.
That's a good pick right there.
That is a good pick. That was a badass match, man. The Hart
Yeah, I'm right.
Man, go ahead.
And I really like the finish, and like I was kind of looking at the audience's reactions that like everybody was kind of like very glued and dialed in when they were like watching. They're like, and then there were like people were standing up and applauding as Bret Hart gets to the outside right before his brother does, you know, because they were both like crawling down from the cage like at that moment, you know, and Bret's feet just hit like at the right time. So yeah, there's my number 1 right there. I don't have quite an I think my honorable mention is Booker T versus The Rock for the WCW championship, because it was like I started watching wrestling like really closely during the Invasion angle. So that was kind of like I was a huge mark back then. So I was like, and I think my other honorable mention also, I was a huge mark back then, was the same pick that I think Josh had, Brock Lesnar versus The Rock, just because.
Yeah.
And I was a huge mark back then too, and I was still like cheering for Rock since he was the baby face. So I was like, man, like he's so much bigger than The Rock, but I think he could probably come out on top if The Rock focuses on speed rather than power. But you know, Brock Lesnar hits the F5 and gets that title, and then you know, if here he comes. You know, here comes the pain.
Here comes the pain.
Yeah.
Wow, good shit, good shit, good shit. All right, looks like I'll start it off. So let me go ahead. I'll start off. Number 5 for me. Number 5 was in SummerSlam 2011 when CM Punk defeated John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. Remember that time that CM Punk left and then, you know, all that commotion. And then Del Rio cashing in the Money in the Bank and winning the WWE Championship. Sorry, man. I'm a raza, man. I'm Mexican, bro. What do you expect?
You know,
I have to go with him.
I roll with Del Rio. I like Del Rio a lot. I feel like that's another one that's wasted potential. And I mean, you hear about like him getting into other shit, so I'm like, maybe it wasn't. But for me, him, like, he's one of the dudes that I remember when he first, like, I was like, yo, that dude is your future.
Yes.
And he's not, so maybe I'm a fucking idiot, but I always thought Matt Hardy was better than Jeff. I thought that Bray Wyatt should be the heir apparent to The Undertaker. The first time I ever saw him in fucking NXT. So, I don't know. Time will tell, but I'm usually right.
I agree.
That has so much more weight, like, knowing you is like, you're right in like the worst, most awesome way.
No, but
I
agree though about the real one thing, because once he came in and when he came in Florida Championship Wrestling, obviously he was wearing a mask. He was still under, you know, Dos Caras Jr., under his father's. So, but then when they finally told him to take off the mask, obviously the audiences know, and we all know the knowledge of you taking off the mask is kind of a little disrespect toward the Mexican tradition, lucha libre.
Yep.
But at least Del Rio had the charisma, he had the in-ring skills ability, bro. And when I went hype shit when he cashed it in and he won it, because he with all due respect to Eddie Guerrero, like, not disrespecting him at all, because he wasn't a full-blooded Mexican. He was just only Mexican-American. But Del Rio was the first official full-blooded Mexican to win a WWE championship. He was the first one. No, I mean, you can Google that shit.
What about Pedro Morales?
No, he wasn't. He was Mexican-American.
Okay.
Not Pedro Morales.
I will say this. There are certain motherfuckers that I remember, and like certain moments I remember. And like, dude, because when I say I'm fucking right about certain shit, I remember the first time Del Rio did that smile that.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this motherfucker right here.
Oh, the wink, too. The wink.
Dude. I remember the first time The Rock did the eyebrow. Because when he was Rocky Maivia, he did fucking suck. And when he first joined the nation, he turned over the camera and did that. And I was like, oh. Yep. This shit. And as a matter of fact, I have an old sketchbook I could even show you where I had this movie idea, this comic movie idea I wanted to do. And I actually had a character based off of him because I thought the next wave of movie stars were going to be pro wrestlers. Because I was like, dude, there's stuntmen that can act. I'm telling you. And I think this Rock dude, I think this Rocky Maivia dude could be a fucking movie star. I think he's going to be the dude. And I had like 3 or 4 guys picked out that I thought were going to be the dude. And now The Rock's the world's biggest movie star. And admittedly,
you just told you so ever.
Yeah, admittedly, Rob Van Dam didn't take off like I thought. Wrong part of town.
Unfortunately,
yeah. He's such a funny guy. He's such a funny guy.
Yeah.
Now he's overweight and he's high like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate. That's why
You're talking about RVD?
Yeah. What if he's still an Impact?
Well, but he got it made though. He got it made. His girl got it. And everything.
Well, I mean, the guy's dating a porn star, for God's sake. You think he gives a shit? He's living a life, you know, the dream of his life, you know.
If there's anybody who rolls with a fat squad, is when I saw him at Double or Nothing at Caesar's Palace at was it Starcast, and his crew was like 7 people, you know, and he had his sunglasses on and indoors, and freaking, I don't know if he was wearing a chain too, but like RVD pimping.
Right.
It should be RVP or something. I don't know.
All right. So that's my number 5. My number 4, actually, this is gonna be the first SummerSlam, 1988. Obviously, the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks. That's when we saw Savage going heel finally, and that's when it set up for WrestleMania 5. So nobody expected that, and I was a big Savage fan, and I love it. I love how that whole storyline came to be. Yeah, well, you just want to get to Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, yeah.
Why you just want to get to Miss Elizabeth? Oh yeah. You know, so that's you can't go wrong with that one. That one actually was not a bad. It was a great storyline, great concept for it to go all the way to for.
We gotta do the fingers.
WrestleMania number 5. So that you know, can't go wrong with that. So my number 3 was SummerSlam 1991, which was Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect, you know, for the IC belt.
That was a big moment.
That was, you know.
Oh yeah, that was another good one. That's where isn't that a match where fucking I think it was Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. One of them snapped their fucking fingers out of socket during the matchup. No, that ain't the one. That ain't the one. I'm thinking about one that Mr. Perfect was watching with Bret Hart or something.
Well, he was tearing his outfit off at the end, right, of that match.
No, you're thinking about Jake the Snake and Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I feel like Bret Hart or something was involved or something. Mr. Perfect was out there though, wasn't he?
Right here on the crotch. And
yeah.
Ran out and just ripped them off. And when they played it on TV, he had underwear on underneath, but when they played it on TV, they blurred it, so it looked like he just ripped them butt naked in front of the audience. I remember being a kid like, oh, shit.
Oh, man, yeah, definitely. But, yeah, Perfect and Bret Hart, if you look at their matches, obviously, they never miss a step. I said it before, you know, in other archives, they never miss a step. They're always on point of what they're doing in the ring, and they put up a great storyline in the ring. I love it. You can never go wrong with Perfect and Bret Hart.
One of the best wrestlers never to win a world title.
Yeah,
I agree.
Mr. Perfect. I was about to say that same thing. Yep.
I agree. Because Perfect should have won. I mean, the IC, of course, but he should have won the WWF Heavyweight Championship at the time. Because he was a baddest heel, you know, at that era. Like, he was one of them, you know? So I would have.
That undefeated streak.
Mm-hmm.
All the balls, he's throwing touchdown passes to himself and shit and bowling strikes.
Yep. Oh, my God.
Throwing the fucking towel on his own.
Well, I wish you would have got a better opportunity when he came back after WCW was bought out.
Like, I saw him in – okay, so one of the moments I stopped watching TNA was they brought – Kurt Hennig made his debut in TNA, right, against Jeff Jarrett. And they were pushing a storyline where Kurt Hennig was challenging for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And I was like, man, okay, maybe Kurt Hennig's going to take the belt off Jeff Jarrett. But, you know, Jeff was on his reign of terror over there, so
Well, yeah, come on, man. His daddy run that shit at the time.
Yeah, so
you know, so you know, Jerry Jordan was running that territory at the time.
So yeah,
but,
there you go.
But yeah, I mean that's my number. Yeah, my number 3. So my number. That was my number. Yeah, that was my number 3, right? Yes, it was. Okay, yeah, that was my number 3. All right, so my number 2. For me, this was a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with it. Actually, it would be Bret Hart versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam. But Shawn Michaels was a guest referee. That was not a bad. Here's one thing about Bret Hart, and I think JT Stahr knows this. Come on.
He's Mr. SummerSlam, man. He might as well be.
He should be Mr. SummerSlam. Because
right.
That motherfucker, he puts people over.
He's on so many of our lists.
Big man. He put over Nash when he was Diesel, but the crowd wasn't not loving it. They're like, all right, but he sucks in the ring. But Bret Hart made him look good. And the Taker was hot at that time, was 96. He was hot at that time. And then, you know, Taker was a champ at that time. That's when Bret Hart became 5-time WWF champion. That was, I think, his last time that he reigned as a world champion. But that was a great match. I loved it. And that's when we saw the HBK, you know, heelish when he was a guest referee. He got spat on by Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels hit Taker, and I was like, count, fucking count. And like, a great storyline. I loved it. I enjoyed it. And I love how Bret Hart and Taker, when they clash in the ring, fuck, they could. Even Taker said it himself in an interview. He said it in a Broken Skull sessions. He said that Bret Hart made him look good. That Bret Hart, he's like one of his favorites.
Taker's another very, very underrated talent because people look at it like, oh, well, that gimmick was so good. He's so big, but he is legit, really, like him and Kane both are really underrated. Like their wrestling ability is underrated. It's kind of like when, like in the NBA, when you talk about who's the best player, everybody's partial to point guards and nobody ever mentions like, oh, well, Kareem or whatever. And I'm like, no, Kareem is fucking phenomenal. Don't think because he's a fucking, somebody's playing center that they aren't still fucking dope just because he's not dribbling through his legs all fucking day. Like, those motherfuckers are, like, legit so fucking good and don't get credit for it.
Right. I agree with you on that 100% because they don't get credit for it. And they're very underrated, especially when Kane was in Smoky Mountain with Taker. I think Kane was in Unabomb.
Yeah.
And then Taker went on Mean Mark. Oh, man, Mean Mark back in the WCW era was fuck. Him and Paul Heyman,
yeah.
That was a hell of a fucking squad. He was fast.
That's hard to believe, man. Like that Heyman managed Undertaker back in WCW. Like, and to think all those years later that come full circle with Brock and Heyman managing Brock versus Taker.
Shit, I'm telling you, man. Heyman is. We'll do a top 5 managers of all time. We'll do that soon. We're gonna do that. For sure, we're gonna do that.
As long as you guys realize Heenan's the best.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Hey,
I'm
can't
with you on
dispute
that.
Hey,
I'm not debating that because it's very true. I'm not gonna debate that. All right, so that was my number 2. So my number 1, I actually enjoyed this match. Why? Because this is the first time we finally see in the Austin era Stone Cold versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam 99. So that one was not 98 was. I think it was 98. I forget the year. Mike, you remember what year? 98, right? Or 99?
98.
Thank you. All right, there you go. Yeah, 98. So that match, even though it went bad in the beginning, you know how, Austin fucked up his jaw when Taker came up. And obviously he was not really conscious. But at least Taker took him throughout the match, and then he got his conscience back, and shit. I remember, like, that's the first time I see Taker do a fucking leg drop out to the table, a flying leg drop. Like, what the fuck? It's been a long time I haven't seen Taker do a high flying move. But it was a great storytelling match, and it proved this match solidified Austin's career as well. Besides Bret Hart won in WrestleMania 13, but I think this one did too because you're facing a big guy like Taker, and he was a veteran already. He already has years in the company prior to Austin. And it's like pretty much passing, all right, you're good, kid. Take on the belt, lead us away. And that's how I feel about it. I mean, if you guys disagree or agree? I mean, you tell me. I mean, what do you think?
I agree with it.
JT, do you agree or disagree? What do you feel about that?
Like I said, I love both of them. I like the match. Like I said, I don't really have a top 5 on fucking SummerSlam matches. But
you're listening little by little. You're like, okay.
I'm remembering some of the matches, and I'm like, oh, yeah, man, I do remember that match. But like I said, I feel like for me to do it, I'd almost have to, like, go back and rewatch the matches. You know what I mean? Or, like, even watch the pay-per-views. Because a motherfucker like me, a lot of times I'll go back and I'll find, like, there was this other match in the card that nobody even talks about, but this was a really good match. There was just no storyline behind it, or it was these two guys and everybody only remembers these legends. But if you go back and watch, like, this match is fucking incredible. Like, I get excited off of shit like that. Like, if I go back and watch some old show and then realize, like, fuck, man, like, you ever watched old Leaping Lanny Poffo? That dude was way ahead of his time.
Yes.
And we just remember the cap and gown, but, like, he was doing some straight lucha shit in the 80s when nobody knew what the fuck luchador shit was if you hadn't been to Mexico.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
That's the shit I get excited off. Like,
oh yeah, I do too. You know, speaking of that, like, I think in '98 the other underrated one was when it was the ladder match between Triple H and The Rock.
Yeah.
SummerSlam, really Intercontinental. I think that was a really great match too. I think that one was the best one. And then also I did enjoy Dan Severn and Dan Severn being the guest referee, but Ken Shamrock versus Owen Hart in the Lions Den. I enjoyed that one.
I watched that one.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that was SummerSlam though. That's how like unstudied I am. I watched that match and that was like, damn.
I think for me, 98 was the best SummerSlam for me.
That was brutal.
I think because the whole card was stacked. I enjoyed it. I think I was never bored. And obviously, my last one would be like Daniel Bryan winning the championship. I was there. I won't forget it. I was with my bro Rob, and we're just like we're looking at the kid like John Cena who, what? Fuck John Cena. Yeah, Daniel Bryan. Cause come on, man. I'm an indie pro wrestling, and the kid's dad are looking at me. He's like, really? You just told my son fuck John Cena? I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't care. I'm drunk, man. I don't know. Daniel Bryan just won the belt, bro. I don't give a shit. I'm going crazy. You know, I don't give a shit. Daniel Bryan won the belt.
That was like the first time he won it, right?
First time?
Yeah.
Not that. For me, the heavyweight shit didn't count to me. The WWE Championship boys will count to me for Daniel Bryan.
That's always the main prize in WWE, no matter what. They try to make the Universal title seem like it's the top prize. They try to make the world title seem like it was the top prize at one time, but it's always going to be the WWE title. It's always.
That's the reason I hate there being a Universal. The other thing, like, there's one belt that's the belt. Like when you're like, oh well, this is the other belt that's that belt, but then we're gonna decide that this one's maybe a little more important.
Yeah.
One fucking heavyweight champion.
Devaluing the currency.
He's the heavyweight champion, the WWE champion. You were the champion. You were king shit of fuck mount. One belt. That's it. You know what I mean? The Intercontinental is the fucking secondary belt or the U.S. title. But like,
what the fuck? What's up with that? What's up with that?
And then they're about to make a new fucking underground championship. I don't know if
y'all that's right. They're going to make a Raw Underground Championship.
Here's the other problem with that. They keep coming up with all these extra belts. What does that belt mean? If you're adding another belt, what does that belt mean?
It don't mean shit. That one is going to be like the Fight Club.
Like a 24/7 title. That's what the fuck it's going to look like, I bet.
I know.
And you know the sad part is, I guarantee you that the whole reason they're adding it is just because they're like, oh, we can sell more replicas.
That's probably it. Yeah. They know they make the money off of it.
That's right.
I don't see any other reason. And it's like,
I've been skipping this whole Raw Underground part of the show, man. I've been catching a little bit of it, but not enough of it to know what it is. Like, who's all these other guys that's in here fighting?
Well, they're NXT talent. They're NXT, yeah, they're all NXT talent that haven't been used yet. They're still students, enhancement talents. They're really has not gotten TV exposure, so they're like students, Now they're getting,
I'll have to catch more of it, man. But so far though, like since I missed it though, is it worth watching that part? Is it
nah. No.
Then I ain't missed nothing.
You ain't missed shit. It's just only like a commercial break. That's what it is. That's all it is.
All right, let's.
All right, so Mr. Hero, let's start off with you.
All right, so let's see. What do we got here? I just made my list a little bit ago. At number 5, and a lot of these were in the early 2000s where I was getting to know this world of wrestling, and there's a lot of I guess kind of like a sentimental, nostalgic attachment to these. Number 5 is Austin versus Angle at SummerSlam 2001. This is where this whole storyline, the invasion storyline, is where I became a fan of Kurt Angle. He got screwed over at the invasion pay-per-view, and he was out for revenge, and he brought out this truck of milk and sprayed the alliance, whatever.
Milkomania,
running wild, and it led up to this match. And I think it was a disqualification, or something happened, and it wasn't a clear victory for anyone. But just the intensity, just in the entrances alone, got me so hyped up for this match. I remember Angle didn't even wait for Austin to walk down the rampway. He just heard the music and got out of the ring and went after Austin. So the intensity was definitely there. And as a new fan at the time, I was all in there. So that's number 5. Number 4 is from my favorite pay-per-view probably of all time is SummerSlam 2002. It was Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. I did not grow up watching Shawn Michaels in the mid 90s. So for me, this was my first like exposure to the Heartbreak Kid. And, I was all in the hype or whatever. When the match was announced, I went back and I started to watch some of his older stuff. And it led up to this match. And just looking back now at what should have been a career-ending injury, and then coming back and the career that he went on after that. But it all started here. It all started at SummerSlam 02. And to this day is one of those matches that I pop on every once in a while, and I still find entertaining. So that's number 4. Number 3 is John Cena versus Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being there too. Everybody was just so into the match. The atmosphere was electric, and everybody was so into it. And honestly, for me, what stands out was what happened after the whole Randy Orton cash-in, and just the collective gasp that everybody let out when Triple H hit Daniel Bryan with the pedigree. It was definitely one of those moments that I will always remember.
I was pissed off, man.
Oh, yeah, that fucked him over big time right there.
Yes.
That pissed me the fuck off, too.
For him to win his first WWE title and for it to be just taken away, not even on the next night. They did it on the same night he won it.
But if that didn't happen though, like we might not have got the Yes Movement and WrestleMania 30.
Oh, that's right. That's
Agreed.
right. So
Agreed.
it set the series of events that happened after that.
Right.
That's a lot of people don't realize. Like if the negative thing doesn't happen, sometimes the positive stuff can't come to fruition.
Exactly.
Right. Gotta have the good with the bad, the bad with the good.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
At number 2, I have The Rock versus Brock Lesnar. Man, this whole hype again, SummerSlam 2002, the hype that it had behind it, at least in my memory, it was the new or the next big thing, Brock Lesnar finally getting the title in such a short amount of time of being in the company. Can you imagine just being promoted to champion in 4 or 5 months?
That's all he's ever been, though. He's never won any title but a world title. That's the thing about Brock, right there.
You know what? You're absolutely right. He's never won no other championship. He's only won the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And
UFC World Title, which is the world.
That's right.
World Title, Japan World Title in New Japan.
Technically, when he was in OVW, him and Shelton Benjamin had tag team titles.
Oh yeah. I do remember that.
I knew they was together. I knew they was together. What they call the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot they won the tag title.
Fun fact.
But on the main roster in WWE, like, and then everything else he's done is world titles. So I still wanted to see him and Shelton be put back together for a little bit. Like,
oh man, imagine a reunion tag team match. That'd be dope to see. Shit.
Yeah, I'd like to see them let him and Shelton win the tag title, or him and somebody win the tag title for a little while.
Him and Heyman.
I would do it to elevate.
I want to see him and Lashley.
Well, I would say put Shelton Benjamin with Heyman, like start another stable of Heyman guys. You know what I mean? And then and just kind of do it from the standpoint where Brock Lesnar's like, yeah, I don't care about the belt. I'm rich. It's kind of like UFC fighters go, I want the super fight. I want the money fight. Fuck your title, or excuse my language. Are we allowed?
I'm good. It's
sure. Yeah.
You've been fucking cussing forever, man. This is TVMA, bro. Come on.
Yeah. But basically, he's like, fuck your title. I want the money fight. I want what's going to pay me. Matter of fact, you've been dicking my boy Shelton on belts. I'm going to make sure he gets the fucking world title. But, yeah, I don't care. I just want to face, like, I'm only going to wrestle if you can put somebody worth me wrestling. And then, and basically that ends up being his role because he's only going to wrestle every once in a while anyway.
Yeah,
and that's where the Rock comes in. Rock 2.
Yeah.
Realistically, the only matches he's going to wrestle, like when Matt Riddle and them try and, like, talk shit, he's like, fuck that guy. He's like, no. I'm wrestling The Rock. I'm wrestling Triple H. I'm wrestling big-name people. Otherwise, fuck off.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm rich, bitch. Like, he two dudes. So, like, you might as well just go ahead and be like, all right.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I would like to see Brock in that sort of a role. But, hopefully he comes back soon, So, but we'll see. We'll see about that. For number 1, I have TLC 1. And man, that right there is just oof. Like I said for TLC 2 last week, that when I introduce somebody to wrestling, this is one of those matches that I put on because there were just so many high spots and like so much that so many cool things that go on in this match and matches like these. And big props to the Dudleys, Hardys, and Edge and Christian for making these timeless matches. I've always find it curious that Edge and Christian won most of these matches, if not all of them. I think
that
they won a lot of them. They won their WrestleMania and they won that one. I guess so.
I think it made the most sense to me, just from a wrestling standpoint, from what everybody was going to get out of it in the match. Because realistically, me and my original tag team partner were basically Edge and Christian of our company. And then the Chris brother, OBE, was the Hardy Boys at that point in time. It makes sense because basically they get over for being champions, for winning the match. The Hardy Boys are going to get over for doing the crazy shit in the fucking match. So, belt or no, they don't need it. They're the crazy guys. The other two are the scheming bad guys who found a way to sneak and rob these dudes and fucking win the title. And the Dudley Boys are the big, scary, brutal motherfuckers who are just there to fuck everybody up. Everybody got something out of that match, and it meant something. Like, that was the perfect way to do it. If you had done it any other way, like I said, if Edge and Christian had the one, it would have kind of taken away from them. If, you know what I mean? Like, nobody else needed the belts out of that situation, if that makes any sense. It got them more heat to win it, and the other teams, just, it made you want to see them take it from them more. But everybody got over it. And it was really, just to add this, I would say, as a wrestler, I even, like, really dug it at the time because I felt like when ECW got big, everybody, like, the whole hardcore thing got more popular. Everybody's like, yeah, hardcore. So the indies got ridiculous. And then, like, WCW would be like, we got a hardcore division. And it was the corniest shit on the face of the earth. And every time somebody tried to do some shit that was supposed to be hardcore, it was the corniest, wackest bullshit I'd ever seen until that fucking TLC match. Because you had motherfuckers who came from the place that made hardcore a thing, putting the fucking match together with two groups that one had all the personality in the world to put the shit over, and then another team that was fucking nuts enough to do crazy, you know, all the crazy shit that you saw in fucking ECW. Like, physically, the Hardy Boys were, like, they were the fucking Sabu and Rob Van Dam of WWE. The fucking Dudleys were ECW's Dudleys and WWE's Dudleys, and they knew how to fucking put together a hardcore match so it was like it meant something and not just stunts. And Edge and Christian, like, made you care. That was one of the most perfect fucking crazy hardcore matches in the history of anything.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I would say I agree with you that that's number one, just for me. From everything, that's the one I remember and being like, oh, fuck, what did I just...
By the way, who else here is seeing that image in their head of Edge spearing Jeff Hardy while he's holding the belts?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
that
yeah.
was
Right
WrestleMania.
now.
But see, that was WrestleMania. Though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
WrestleMania
true.
17.
But
wasn't it?
that's the image I have in my head right now, though.
Iconic for sure.
Mhm.
Iconic. But yeah, so 2 honorable mentions. My first one being Angle versus Mysterio from
Holy
from
shit! I
SummerSlam
forgot
02.
about that one.
It was a fun match. It was the perfect way for this awesome pay-per-view to start. And I do believe it was the first time that those two met one-on-one, right?
Yes, it was.
So,
Yes, it was.
definitely the styles made for a good match, entertaining match. And I'm actually gonna see it one of these days again. So,
You know what?
definitely.
Angle sold the shit out of that match,
Hmm.
along with Ray, and they did a great storytelling in that because Angle made Mysterio look even better. You know,
Yeah.
when that was the first time they met, you could see how Angle sells the shit out of it. Like every move, whatever Mysterio was doing, and he did a great job on that. Even Mysterio too, selling whatever Angle's power moves that he was getting from Angle. So yes, I'm with you on that. Hell yeah! I'm gonna watch that shit too. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
Yeah. And my other honorable mention is Chris Benoit versus Randy Orton. I think that I really enjoyed watching that one too, and I always liked that finish. Benoit. I believe Benoit was going for the crossface, and then there was this like turnaround, and then RKO, and that was it. Probably one of my favorite finishes of all time. And yeah, I mean it kind of catapulted Randy Orton's career into the main event there. And it was a short-lived world title reign for sure, but it gave him the youngest world title winner award. So that was my second honorable mention.
All right. Good shit. Good fucking pick so far. Now we say we say the best for last. We said Mr. JT Stahr, and let's see. You heard all of ours, so you probably get an idea, or just name some that you want to mention that you remember.
Like I said, I still couldn't. I would have needed to prepare this ahead of time because otherwise, I'm just kind of bullshitting. I like that one. That's pretty much all I was doing during yours. Is going if anything, I'd probably put the first TLC at number 1, possibly. But even then, I have to go back and watch it. That's one that I just remember the impact it had on me. I can't say I remember I might go back and be like, oh no, that happened in the second TLC movie, whatever. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can't even. All I can do is just agree and be like, oh no, I do remember that was awesome. Yeah. I can contribute to this one.
But so far, besides that one, what other one stand out for you that you were like, oh shit, that was a badass match, a good storytelling?
That's the other one too. Is I kind of have to remember because some of the stuff I start thinking about other matches, and I'm like, okay, like when you were talking about the I think it was Davey Boy and
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, yeah.
But then it was I do remember that, and I do remember really liking that. But one of my favorite matches of all time, but I don't think it was SummerSlam, it was Davey Boy versus Owen for the European title.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I remember,
hell yeah.
Especially watching that after I had started wrestling and training and shit like that. And that was okay, this is one of my favorite matches, period. But I don't think that was SummerSlam. It was just a dope-ass fucking match that happened.
It was a shotgun. No. It was a live event in Europe, and this was the tournament to crown the first European champion. And it was in England, I believe. So somewhere in Europe, I think it was England. That's when Bulldog won it for the first time. Obviously, Owen had to lose. I mean, come on. But it was a badass match. Good storytelling between them.
Yeah, great storytelling. A lot of the same stuff he was talking about where the sister was there because legitimately Davey Boy, he married in the Hart family, so he married their sister. So she was there. So it's the whole thing. They were actually both heels.
Yes.
That was a heel versus heel. They were both managed by Cornette. And so it was this whole fucking thing because they're both bad guys and you were waiting to see which one started cheating first. So
by the way, they were tag champions at the time.
Out, and then he'd get back in pissed. You'd be like, oh, they're about to snap. And then they ended up wrestling a clean match the whole time. But the whole match, you were like, oh, one of these motherfuckers is gonna lose, and he's gonna lose. It's
hey, dude.
gonna be bad. Who's gonna turn evil? Who's gonna turn good? One of them is gonna do something, and then the guy would get thrown out, and then he'd get back in pissed, and then they do some stuff, and then he would throw the other one out. He'd be like, "Oh, here it comes." He'd be like, "Yeah, come on, get in." And it was
Hey, but you remember they were both tag team champions at that time. They were tag champs, and I think it looked more like Owen was going to turn on Davey Boy more than Davey Boy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, Davey Boy as a heel, his charisma is not there. I don't know. He's more like it's kind of like Anvil, you know, like when Bret Hart and Jim, the Hart Foundation, when they were heels. Bulldog reminds me of Anvil pretty much, like the powerhouse, you know. Owen is like Bret, you know, like the talker, you know, the one that takes a mic and also, you know, has a good in-ring skills ability. But he could be a more better heel than David Boy. That's my opinion. You know? But,
well, I mean, Owen definitely out of that feud ended up becoming the heel out of it. But yeah, but I just remember that match being like, even after I knew what had happened, like that's to me a great match. If you can watch it again and it's still dope, you know what I mean? Or they still get you kind of like, you start feeling it. Yeah. That's when like this is a fun match. Like that match is one of my favorite matches. Not like, oh, I love that match because this cool thing happened and I like watching that one thing. I'm like, no, the overall, the way the whole match built was.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hell yeah.
We're getting to the SummerSlam match, so I'm way the fuck off.
Okay, all right, that's all good. Okay, what about the first Elimination Chamber?
Oh,
you remember that?
Shit.
We forgot about that.
I'm trying to remember which one because there's been so many since then.
That was August
Survivor
20...
Series.
No, wait, was it the first one, or was it SummerSlam the first one? Oh no, you're right.
Second one was Survivor Series. I mean, the second one was SummerSlam 03.
That was with
Goldberg.
Oh, you're right. You're fucking right. I forgot. It was some. Yeah,
first one was with Shawn Michaels.
But you said it was SummerSlam or Survivor Series?
The first one was Survivor Series 02. The second one was SummerSlam 03.
Yeah, I think they should keep it on. They should keep it on Survivor Series. I think that's on brand with Survivor Series. Is that match?
It should be. It should be. Yeah, I agree. It should be like its own, like, you know, SummerSlam and main event.
Yeah, well, because like I said, that's another one I was talking about, like how they need to kind of like rework the consequences and gimmicks.
Yeah, that's true.
Series got kind of boring when it was all Survivor Series matches. Like, I like the idea of the main event being like Elimination Chamber or something. You know what I mean? Like, change it up a little.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how do you like it now being like, should they continue doing the 3 brands or they should just do it like,
okay. I have thoughts on this.
I want to hear this.
On just how I would change certain shit.
Yeah, it's all good.
I would absolutely have it be all 3 brands, and here's why. Here was my idea. Remember when I said like how I'd handle the brand split and everything? And you'd have Raw, SmackDown, and then joint pay-per-view? Survivor Series would be one of the joint pay-per-views. I would make sure that all the Survivor Series matches had more consequence. So, for example, this is one of the shows where a belt could change shows or whatever. But one of the things I would do is every year, at least once a year, they do a mass firing, right? I would work that into the show. I would have the bottom 5 guys from like Raw and then the bottom 5 guys from like SmackDown, right? And then I would take like 5 guys from NXT and put them against the 5 bottom guys from fucking Raw. And I would be like, okay, if NXT wins, these guys get your Raw contracts and you guys are fired. Thing with SmackDown. And then
loser leaves town.
Because legitimately they're going to do that in real life. So basically I would take whoever's really going to get fucking let go and I would run that fucking angle. And that way you at least get one last pay-per-view to get paid residuals off of. And you put these guys over on the way up. And that would be the storyline. So you could run entire things on NXT where these guys are trying to qualify to be on the Survivor Series team. And then the guys who are like the bottom guys are fighting for their jobs. You could take a bunch of like lowest fucking card dudes that nobody cares about, and now you care because they're like, dude, I am trying not to get fucking fired. And there might even be a few guys that they're not really gonna fire, and then they just move them to NXT. That's the whole point. We're gonna move these 3 guys down to NXT, and we're gonna fire these 4. So put them on the Survivor Series team, put them up against the guys we're gonna move up, have them have a fucking match. At the end, this guy gets fired, and then he pops up on NXT, like begging for a new contract, you know, and change his gimmick and do whatever you would have fucking done at NXT.
Oh shit!
That's such a great loser leaves town concept, basically. You know,
Survivor Series matches.
I would call it more loser goes demoted, go back to NXT and start from the bottom again. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
Switch the contracts. Fuck it. And if NXT win, they go to Raw, and the Raw roster go to back to NXT. But now you gotta start all over again. Demotion.
I wouldn't even say you go back to NXT. I would just say, yeah, you get fired. And so these dudes would be like, oh shit, we're fighting for our job, and these dudes are fighting to move up. That's consequence. And you can technically, even after you fired them, you take a couple of them and just put them on NXT.
That's
And
true.
then, you know, but like that would be a cold storyline. You could do that, like I said, with Raw and SmackDown. So that's 2 Survivor Series matches that mean something. No belts, no nothing on the line, and it's shit you're gonna do already. Because you know every year you're gonna just take a whole wave of motherfuckers and fire them. They always do every year. And then after they fire those dudes, they move a bunch of dudes up. They go, all right, we're gonna call these guys up. So you take Velveteen Dream and fucking all these other fucking dudes, and that's what we do.
Yeah, either that or fucking send them to Raw Underground. There you go. Go fight at Raw Underground, bro.
And then I would try and come up with a couple other different ways to do. I mean, it's Survivor Series, but like find shit like Elimination Chamber that's in that vein, so it's not the same match over and over and over that you're watching, because that can get kind of redundant.
Yeah.
Especially when you do it multiple years, because then you're like, all right, what can we do that hasn't been done?
That is true. That is very, very, very true. But I mean, I think Elimination Chamber fits more with No Way Out, because, you know, there's no way out. That shit. You know, the concept of it. That's what I'm saying. The meaning of it.
Sell, whatever. You know, it's,
Yeah, or yeah, either that one. Well, yeah, it could be either one.
yeah.
It could be either. It could be other ones. But you know what? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this is our top 5 of the week. So stay tuned for next Sunday as we're gonna go ahead and do our top 5 dream matches. And JT will join us in that one. He's gonna have his. He's a booker of all bookers now. He's gonna be booking his top 5 dream matches. You know, but we're taking the current stars, not from the past, the current right now. So that's what we're gonna need to do.
There's some current stars I'd like to see wrestle some dudes from the past, and that would have been pretty dope.
Yeah, would it be? Would it be? But should we include them or not include them?
Wait a minute. So top 5 dream matches. We're talking about
I would suggest the current roster of every promotion.
every promotion of the
Anybody.
current roster, not past, present, future rosters.
I'd rather just right now.
Okay.
Well, would they have
Right now.
currently on all promotions? So obviously
Alright.
NXT, Raw, SmackDown, AEW, New Japan, you know, ROH, MLW, NWA. You know, there's so much. So I'd rather include all of them and book a dream match that people will actually will, you know, buy.
Top 5 dream matches. Yeah, I got it.
That's right. So we'll do that next Sunday. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next Sunday. Salud, and I'll see you later.
Salud.